Welcome to Tiger Talks Wrestling. This is your host, Tony, and today I am joined by a very special guest.
The diamond of the industry, the 24 karat man, the OG $1 million, the bank account cleaner, the king of dollar style, and especially your mother's favorite wrestler, Victor Van Pelt. Oh, man, this is going to be fun.
And it should be. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey. So, before we get started with the questions, I know there's a couple people in chat already, so we're a little late getting started here, but it happens. Leave your comments, questions in the chat section. We'll get to them as we go through the show. All right. So, Victor, the first thing I want to get to is what are your backyard wrestling origins? What first got you started?
Well, a long time ago, and this is a long time ago, probably 2007, me and my uncle, we used to mess around on the trampoline, not thinking anybody else actually did it. And then we started watching a little bit on YouTube. And then we were like, wow, there's people legitimately doing this stuff. The reason we always used to do it is because my uncle's dream was to always be a wrestler. And with that, we always used to just mess around on the trampoline, pretend to be wrestlers. And I talk to him a lot now. My uncle is actually a police officer now, which is kind of crazy because he didn't have enough money to get into wrestling school. And that's why I'm doing it. But he talks to me now and he's amazed with the stuff that I do. He's happy with it. But we started watching it. And then in 2011, I started a YouTube channel called ECW 4667. Stupidest idea I've had. And then, yeah, we started doing that. A little bit down the line, we started getting a couple views. Then I got into different companies, and I'm here now.
Right. So from that, we would obviously see you were in ECW, as you mentioned, that would eventually become KWA. But I do want to delve in a little bit to your ECW time. What was it like when you guys first started, probably about a year or two ago, started getting some views there on YouTube in ECW?
Well, I never thought that it would get as big as it did because I was always like, ECW isn't going to be anything because A, it's copyright, and B, people are going to see this as these are just a bunch of kids messing around. And that's what it was at first. And when it started getting big, I was like, well, it's starting to get big and I should probably change the name. And I didn't because I was like, this is ECW. It's what I've loved. Why change it now? And then, eventually I just woke up in the morning and I was like, you know what? We need to change it. I talked to Casey James, who was basically our general manager. Yankee had a little bit of say in it, and we all decided on a name, and Keystone Wrestling Alliance came about. When it started getting big, we all knew that we had to step our game up. We all knew that we had to do everything we can to make it the company that it was, and it went perfectly.
Right. I want to delve into one situation that you guys had happen when you were in ECW. Just want to mention what Yankee posted here first. Is that a money robe? The fuck, Vic?
You know it.
The gimmick.
You know it. Yeah, I had this for a while. I actually wore this at Battlefest when I wrestled Cameron Jackson.
Which we'll get into here in just a little bit.
All right.
There was one part, I was talking to Devon McDonald last night. He wanted me to ask you what it was like doing the ECW versus BEW NGW crossover show.
There was a couple. It wasn't just mainly that big one. That big one, though, was probably the best show that I've had. I was extremely upset when the footage got lost. We had literally one match that we were able to upload, but we didn't because we couldn't upload the whole show with it. There were matches on there like there was Midnight Moon and Striker for the ECW KWA title, whatever one it was. There was a huge, I don't remember what kind of tag match it was, but I know Ellis Taylor and Cyrus X were definitely a part of that. Yep. Me and Jordan Oliver, which was big news, and I was so upset when the footage got lost. It was a dope match. It was a really special match to me. But the one big crossover show that I feel impacted us the most was the birthday bash. I every year I used to do this thing for my birthday called the birthday bash, and this year was a little bit more special than usual. We had a lot of great matches on that one. That was where the big actual tag team match happened. There was a tag team from DBW, a tag team from the Murder Club, NGW, and ours. Our tag team wasn't as good as the rest because we had our Happy and Bozo, the two clowns that we had.
Right.
They obviously didn't get far in that. Ellis Taylor and Cyrus X. I think Rick Rios. Or no, I could be wrong. Well, I don't remember. My memory's off. But it wasn't just that match that made it big for me. Also, Navon McDonald was there. He had a great match with Cyrus. Blah, blah, blah. The matches, they didn't mean much to me. What meant the most to me was the fact that all of these people got to come around literally just for not only KWA, but for me as well. And it meant a lot to me. Every time they would come, it was great.
Yeah, it's something that you see a little bit more often nowadays than what we would probably 2 years ago is crossover events. Quite a bit had the chance to work with BEW and a little bit with NGW there. Cameron Jackson, for one, showed up quite a bit on your guys' show, I've noticed. So now we'll get into Cam here in a moment, but I want to get to a couple comments here. Rick Forsey says, I am here. Long time no see, bud. And Yankee mentions LMAO, I super kicked a cupcake on his face after they sang happy birthday to him.
That happened, yeah.
Yeah. Real heel work, he puts it. Rick the Ref is here.
All right.
All right. So, as you were mentioning, we did see that you were the KWA champion there for a brief spell. Leading into Battle Fest, you had challenged Cameron Jackson to a match.
Yes, I did.
What would you say? What would you say went into the promos that you cut leading into that match that we've seen uploaded?
I literally, the last seconds coming up to Battle Fest, I came up with a couple ideas on what we can do. Because we really didn't have any story other than I beat him at this show and we were going to wrestle. So I wanted to put more depth into it. And Cameron is like a brother to me. I knew for a fact Battle Fest was going to be one of the biggest shows in KWA history because literally there was this big festival. A lot of people showed up. It was great. And Cameron is somebody that I definitely wanted to be in there with if it was going to be that special to me. I don't know if a lot of people know, but me and Cameron are literally like brothers to each other. The day that he left New York, I literally cried on my way home because Cam means a lot to me. But yeah, the promos that I did, the reason I did them, like I said, the whole story thing, I was like last second, I was like, I wonder what it would be like if I made up a story about how I wanted to be a part of the FTC and they wouldn't let me in it. So I did. And I made this like really stupid couple-second mini movie of like Cameron sending people after me. And I was like, I'm going to do this thing where like I do that and then I'm going to pretend it's like a big movie and they catch me saying cut at the end and blah, blah, blah. And it was pretty funny, you know, and I'm a funny wrestler. I do a lot of funny stuff in wrestling. But, you know, that's something that I feel is a little bit not over the edge, but like close to it. You know, it separated reality and that. And when I did that whole thing, I didn't realize how stupid it would be. Like I look back at that now and I was like, there was no point in that at all. But, you know, it led up to the match and that's all that I cared about.
In that match, I'll just go over the Battle Fest. Altogether was a pretty good show. That's when I actually seen live pretty much, I think, when you guys posted it. Starting with that Money in the Bank match all the way to your guys' main event between you and Cameron Jackson. You guys put on a pretty good show there. I'll give you that much. Which did see you come out on the losing end at the end of it. And that was pretty much the last time we really seen you on KWA since we haven't seen anything uploaded recently. You want to go over the reason why that is?
Yeah. This is going to sound really ridiculous. I'm not going to lie. KWA was literally recording episode after episode after episode. We were literally about to get to start recording our pay-per-view. There was a couple matches that still haven't been uploaded, which will be uploaded soon. Not going to give any details. Okay, I'll give one. The match that we were supposed to see at the birthday bash that we didn't get to see happened, recorded. It's going to be uploaded soon between me and Jordan Oliver. But we were recording episodes. People were showing up. People were watching. It was getting really big. And then one afternoon, I was relaxing, you know, minding my own business. The next thing I hear, somebody runs in the house, and they tell me that my ropes legitimately got stolen. People stole our ring ropes. Why? Why do people do that? I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, but
that's crazy.
People legitimately stole our ring ropes, and now we have no clue what we're going to do. We're thinking we're probably going to make a comeback sometime in the future, but we have no clue when that'll be.
Gotcha. Yiki says the fucking ropes. Fuck you to whoever took them.
Exactly. We were extremely upset.
Okay. I don't blame you. It should be. Why somebody, like you said, why somebody would take ring ropes is baffling.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Who would you say, kind of going off topic, but we might get back to ECW, KWA, but who would you say were some of your influences growing up in pro wrestling? And maybe now?
Well, that's a hard one. Ironically enough, I was really big on Ted DiBiase Jr. But other than that, you know, I watched a lot of really old school wrestling. When I was younger, I obviously liked the usual John Cena, Batista, blah, blah, blah. But then I slowly got to develop more and watch and be like, this is something different. You know, one thing that really got me into wrestling, my first ever action figures were Booker T and the Hurricane. And I watched a lot of them after that. And Booker T was a big influence. It's kind of surprising, you know, because like I said, Ted DiBiase was one of my main influences, but Booker T was obviously my second. And you'd think I would have the King gimmick, but Navon does. It's random, I know.
Yeah, but you kind of donned the robe and crown recently on Twitter too. So,
well, that's something for the future. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Booker T was definitely one of them. AJ Styles, obviously, that's mainly everybody's.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know, my main influence now is Mitsuhiro Misawa. He is one of my favorite Japanese wrestlers of all time. All time.
Nice. Very nice. So would you say that you ever really watched Backyard Wrestling before you got started in doing this whole ECW/KWA Backyard show?
Yeah. Like I said, you know, when me and my uncle were doing it, we ended up watching a bunch of other people doing it. ESW was obviously a really big company that we watched. That was basically everybody's. But then it started growing more and more and more. And I literally had this like short time where I would study Backyard Wrestling and see. I was really confused on why people liked it so much. But then I understood. You know, I watched more of it. I watched more. I started watching VTW. And Best in the Yard was a dream of mine. And watching it, I was like, wow, this is impressive stuff. You know, if people can do this, I wonder what I can do. And that's what made me make it the way it is.
Gotcha. All right. So is there anything else you want to mention about your time in ECW or KWA before we move on to the next topic here?
I'm not going to lie, I kind of miss it. And the reason I miss it is because it was just another opportunity to see all my friends. A lot of my friends aren't the happiest with me right now. But, you know, there's still those couple of people that still like me and can deal with me. And, you know, having that time to just relax for a weekend and hang out with them was always great. It was never about the wrestling. It was just about us hanging out. And you could tell towards the ending of KWA that it was literally just us messing around. I mean, Ched Nesterton, Clunk, and Happy the Clown was one of the biggest matches in Battle Fest. Like,
sure. All right. So besides KWA, we've kind of seen more recently in Proving Grounds. What has that experience been like for you?
Proving Ground is basically my home now. And the reason I say that is because that is what I've been mainly putting my heart in and what I've been paying attention to, you know. And it's not just for the promoters, it's for the fans and it's for myself. I feel not only as the champion, I feel I have to raise myself at the top of the bar. Even if I didn't have the title, that's where I feel I would have to be. And it's not because, you know, I don't have anywhere else to go because KWA is gone. I very rarely go to VTW and stuff with DBW happened. You know, I feel Proving Ground, if I'm going to make it my home, then I have to be not the guy, but one of the top guys of my home.
Right. That's understandable. Talking about Proving Ground, we did see you have been in the main event pretty much every show you've been a part of. The first episode, you're in that triple threat main event for the Proving Ground Championship.
Mm-hmm. That match was interesting. I'm not going to lie. I liked it. I loved that match, but I just didn't feel it was what I wanted.
Right. In the end, it was you who got pinned by Paul Peterson. So,
and I was okay with that. I didn't have a problem with that. The match was fine. I just felt it could have been better.
I think I'd agree with you on that. But moving off of that, you did come back and take the title off of Paul Peterson, as we've seen from there too. So,
yeah.
And we do know you have an upcoming match for that championship whenever they get uploaded to it. And against one Mike Perillo, I do believe.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for anything that comes my way. I'm the champion. You know, I've always got to be ready. Mike Perillo, however you pronounce his last name at this point, because I don't care. They're stepping stone in my way of being a champion. He's just another little pebble on the road that I'm about to run over with my skateboard. And unlike most skateboards, I'm not going to fly off. I'm just going to go right over it. Being the Proving Grounds champion means I always have to have eyes behind my head. And I do. And I pay attention to people like him. And I've been watching him. I've been realizing more and more about him every day. Because half the time I've been watching his matches, I've almost fallen asleep every single time. That doesn't matter. He has no character. Sorry, I should probably stop there. But yeah, no, this is going to be a well fought brotherly battle. I'm excited, Mike. I'm really excited.
All right. That'll be something to look forward to, seeing you guys take that. But to talk a little bit about Proving Ground here, we did see in the previous episode 4 that there are a few new guys that have joined into Proving Ground. Guys from NLBW. What is your opinion of them joining Proving Ground?
Well, let me just say NLBW has a lot of great talent. NLBW has really good wrestlers, but maybe they weren't the smartest of people to come and walk in my way. Yeah, Proving Ground, next pay-per-view. Stand your ground. Be able to stand their ground and stay where they are, because if they are even close to being at the top like I am, they're just going to get the same result as everybody else. I'm going to knock them down.
Fair enough. There's a lot of newer talent there in Proving Ground. Is there anyone in particular or any couple people in particular that you'd like to face that you haven't gotten a chance to yet?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I would love to face that I haven't gotten a chance to. I feel Jason Atlas is one guy that I'd love to get in the ring with on Proving Ground. I would love to get in the ring with... It's hard to think because there's a lot of guys on that roster that I have been in the ring with, and it's hard to think about all that. A lot of the NLBW guys I'd love to get in there with. I don't remember his name. All I remember is that it sounded like spaghetti. But he's good too.
Okay.
I should remember the name. He's good too, you know. I appreciate what he does. I think it's like the Bullet or something. I don't know.
Brandon the
But
Bullet.
whatever. Yeah, that guy. I'd love to get in the ring with him. You know, it'd be cool. People that I've already been in the ring with that I would love to get in the ring with on Proving Ground. Casey James, I'd love to have another match with him. Striker, it'd be cool to get in there with him. I feel what we were leading to was eventually a pay-per-view called Sink or Swim for KWA, and the main event of that show was going to be me and Striker. And it would be cool to redo that match. Yeah. And it'd be cool to get in the ring with him. Man. I'd like to get in the ring with... I guess Samael would be cool to get in there with him one more time. But yeah.
Yeah. How about we've seen, I believe, only one time that it happened in KWA, but how about you and Hellhound?
I'd wrestle him again. It'd be pretty fun. Hellhound, he's a good kid, you know. But yeah, that's about it. He's a good kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Brandon Castelli, Yankee says is the name of the person you're trying to think of.
That's what it is. Brandon Spaghetti. I got it.
Gotcha. I would be remiss to not mention that in one of my previous episodes, I had Dil Van Satan on here, who you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
He happened to mention more than once on there that he feels he could go in the ring, step in the ring with you and beat you in under 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
That's a little bit ridiculous. Now, I'd say if it was the other way around, it'd make more sense if I beat him in 5 minutes. Because Dil Van Satan, if you don't know much about him, he's not very good. I'll just say that. He's not deservable of going one-on-one with Victor Van Pelt one more time. But hey, I mean, if he wants to get buried, come right on down.
Right. He supposedly is going to show up somewhere at some point soon. Who knows when? But
well, come on.
But he keeps saying on Twitter. But got any stories you'd like to share from Proving Ground tapings at all?
Yeah, I have one main story, and Yankee's going to like this one. We just got finished filming everything, and, you know, everybody was doing the usual, messing with Navon. And as this has probably been told more than once, Navon hates getting fingers in his face. He hates when people point fingers in his face.
Yep.
So,
right.
Yankee was pointing fingers in his face, and everybody else around him. But Yankee's finger accidentally slipped in his mouth. And Navon's reaction was, "Oh, shit! It went in my fucking mouth." And he started freaking out. He ran up. He grabbed a chair. He chased down Yankee with it, almost killed Johnny Reed with it. It was a wild day, yeah. There's that story. The other story was the day that I'm sorry?
I said, heard that story a couple different times, and it's great every time. So.
Oh, yeah. The other story I have yet again with Navon, it was the day that I won the belt. And we brought this guy named Clayton with us who didn't know anything about wrestling. The only movie he's ever taken is a Tombstone, and it was extremely dangerous. But we decided it'd be fun if he came with us. Navon that day was filming his promo for Best in the Yard on Avery Hoke. Little did we know people were going to piss off Navon that day. So everybody kept throwing bottles at him while he was leaving. They were throwing water bottles at him. And Navon wasn't very happy about that. So he goes over to Paul Peterson, starts beating up Paul Peterson, throws him in the ring. Does the same to Mike Prelo, you know, blah, 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 beats him up. And I'm sitting next to Clayton. And I ran as far as I could away from Navon because I knew I'd be next. Right. So Navon walks up to all of us, grabs Clayton behind the ear, and is just yelling in his face. And I'm far off in the distance screaming, he doesn't know anything about wrestling. He can't take a bump. He can't do it, Navon. Leave him alone, blah, blah, blah. And he just lets him go. And then as Navon's walking away, I walk back over to Clayton, and I'm like, Clay, you knew you were about to die. You were literally about to get murdered. Like, Navon, he's safe. He's a very safe wrestler. But Clayton doesn't know much about wrestling. So, yeah.
So, Yankee says, off of that Dilvan Satan comment, the fuck, 5 minutes, wasn't that the guy that had the Adam Rose gimmick?
Pretty much. He was the guy who came out with the bag of Satan.
Yes.
What sense did that make at all?
None, to be honest. Doesn't make any. But anyway. So any stories you want to kind of backtrack a little bit? Any stories you want to delve on into from your time in ECW, KWA? From a crossover or just anything in general?
Well, this is a fun story. And I was literally thinking about it as you were telling me the crossovers. It was the day that Phoenix, Casey James, had his match with Navon, where they used a table. And they were originally supposed to use 2. And the reason that didn't happen is because somebody by the name of Ryan the Party Animal Jacobs, or whatever his freaking name was, really stupid gimmick. That was the guy who had the Adam Rose gimmick. That was the guy. So they, for some reason, Ryan thought it was a smart idea to break the table that Casey James bought before their match. For whatever reason, I don't know. And Navon wasn't as mad as KC was, but KC was angry. He was screaming, he was yelling, he was freaking out. Ironically enough, Ryan Jacobs literally left a couple minutes before that happened. Which really upset me. Yeah.
All right. So, I'll give you a chance to say any other stories if you got anything or to expand on that, but I got to mention a couple things here real quick.
Okay.
Yankee wants to know if you're ready for the 18th.
I'm always ready.
And Dilvan is actually in the chat room, says, Hail Satan.
That's ridiculous.
And Eric Caples Jr. is in, says, you rock, Vic. Hashtag MC.
Thank you. It means a lot, brother. You know, I feel I've been getting a lot more fan reaction, and that's what I love. I love fan reaction. Not too long ago, some kid randomly, like, added me on Snapchat, and I was like, who is this kid? And then the next thing I saw is he had a picture literally on his door of, like, a drawing of a diamond, and it said diamond on it. And, like, I've talked to that kid a couple times now, you know, because I appreciate people like that. I love fans. As much as a heel, I am, like, one of the biggest heels in backyard wrestling today. Yeah, I know this, but I could still have fans every once in a while, okay?
Yep. Heels can do. I mean, there's plenty of heels in pro wrestling that have a lot of fans. I mean,
oh yeah.
Take for instance on the Monday Night Raw roster, Samoa Joe gets cheers everywhere he goes, so and he's supposed to be a heel. Still says you're ridiculous, man. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't blame Casey for being upset that somebody broke a table that he was planning on using or bought himself for match with Navon. I had heard from Navon that actually there was 2 matches recorded at one point between him and Casey, one as Navon and then one as Novan as well.
Oh, the Novan one, that was wild. It just wasn't a good day for anybody. Everybody was at least in some kind of bad mood. I don't know what happened exactly that day. There's been 2 big times that there's been, like, I guess, shoot moments in wrestling with our company. And this was one of the main ones. So they had their match. Everything was going well. Rick the ref was, for some reason, Casey's manager. even though they had no story between each other whatsoever. Novin obviously had Asher, the usual. And Cyrus from DBW was the ref. And I guess, as we know, Navon doesn't like fingers in his face. Cyrus put his finger in Navon's face. And I don't know how it happened, but there was a shoot suplex. The suplex in that match wasn't supposed to happen. Navon was fighting it, but it still happened. Rick the ref attacked Asher, who was being played by Johnny Reed, and legitimately hurt him, But, I'm not a very big person on heat. I don't really have heat with anybody. There are a couple people that I could say I definitely have heat with, but if it happens, it's whatever. I kind of just let it go. I'm very professional about it. And, I wasn't very upset about that. I understood why things were the way they were. I understood why everybody got angry. It just wasn't a very good day for KWA. But yeah, that's pretty much the story. Navon was mad. They were mad. It wasn't good at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, he said he didn't know why exactly it didn't ever get posted, but he knew that
it didn't get posted.
He didn't remember seeing it anyway, so it did get posted. But nonetheless, he was happier with the match that him and Casey had at Christmas Carnage, I believe is the name of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a lot better.
All right. Yeah. But anyway, if there's anything else, any other stories you want to mention between ECW or KWA or Proving Ground before we move into the next topic here?
No, I think I'm all right.
All right. So I'm going to save one topic for a little bit later, but I want to delve into another crossover event. You weren't a part of it, but I just want to get your opinions because I have heard you had seen it. Okay. King of the Yard tournament.
Yep.
What was your thoughts of the tournament overall?
The tournament itself was amazing. I thought it was a very good thing for the backyard wrestling scene. I'm not going to lie. There was one thing that I could have done differently. And I feel there's not a lot of round robin tournaments in backyard wrestling. I thought it would have been dope if that was a round robin, like a what are they? The G1 Climax, like that. Mm-hmm. If this tournament was like that, a lot more wrestlers would have gotten chances to wrestle people they haven't, and it would have been dope. But I'm okay with that. I was actually supposed to be at King of the Yard.
Okay.
And the reason that didn't happen is because of school.
Right.
I'm 17. I'm still in school. I'm still doing all this stuff, And I obviously missed way too many days from school because of Reunion Rumble.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to go to King of the Yard. But this year, you can definitely expect to see me at King of the Yard.
All right. As long as there's a King of the Yard, which from rumblings I've heard, there more than likely will be. Do you have anybody specific that you'd like to face in the first round if you had the opportunity to choose?
Oh, man. That's rough. I've always wanted to wrestle Drew Hood, but that's not looking too bright for me right now.
No, unfortunately not.
Dustin Reagan would be cool to wrestle. I'm not going to lie. I feel I'm definitely not on his level, but it would be cool to wrestle him.
Yeah. Could see it. Was there any match in specific of the King of the Yard tournament that you thought not necessarily outshined, but you were the bigger fan of, I guess you could say?
I absolutely loved, and I feel everybody has the same opinion I do on this, because Yankee, he is a amazing performer. Cameron, amazing performer.
Yes.
Putting both of those two together in the ring at once made magic, and that match was beautiful. And Yankee, I probably should have said it earlier, but he is definitely another person that I would love to get in the ring with.
Fair enough. Yeah, of course, Yankee said. All right. So for Proving Ground, we have seen originally it was a concept by Cameron Jackson and Yankee. With Cam moving away, it's mainly Yankee's baby now. Would you say there's been a little bit of a difference between having the two guys together compared to Yankee running things?
I don't really see anything different. I feel, I mean, it's a little bit more empty without Cameron, because like I said earlier, Cameron's like my brother. I'm obviously going to miss him in Proving Ground, but I'm perfectly fine with having Yankee be there. I'm perfectly fine with having Yankee right by my side as me being his champion. I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, the One Man Revolution, Aaron Jones, is in the chat room, says that Victor Van Pelt, you are the future. That's for sure.
Thank you, sir. I'd love to get. There's a lot of people that I'd love to get in the ring with. Aaron Jones is definitely another one. They just keep adding up.
Right? Yeah. Well, we'll get to a couple more probably later, but yeah. Anything else you want to say about King of the Yard before I move into the next part?
It was a really cool tournament, and if there is another one, I'm excited to be a part of it.
All right. Yeah, definitely be interesting to see what you can do in that tournament, as long as the second one does happen, as rumored. Let's move into the next crossover event that we've seen this year. Before I get into it, I guess we could mention, you kind of touched on it earlier. You showed up in VTW for the Reunion Rumble this year.
Yes, I did.
Delve into that and what that experience was like.
That was my first time in VTW ever. And before being in VTW, VTW was what I had my eyes set on. I wanted to be in VTW. That was something that I had planned out and ready to do. So when Cam gave me the call and he said, "Hey, you want to come to Reunion Rumble?" I instantly took that opportunity. I feel I could have done a lot more in that Rumble. I was literally in there for about a couple minutes and then left.
Yeah.
But I feel that's where I got to shine. I feel that's what I started, and that's what I loved being a part of. Maybe not the smartest idea on my half to jump out when I saw a big dude coming my way. Obviously, now I wouldn't do that, but then I was like, whatever, I'm just going to do it. It was funny, though. That's all that mattered.
That's true. Mm-hmm. It's a moment that I think people will remember. So
a lot of people say funny equals money, and that's what I'm about.
There you go. Want to delve into that weekend a little bit more. First, Jason Atlas says, "Coming for that belt. Keep it shiny for me."
Bring it on, brother. Bring it on.
So, anything else you want to mention about that weekend that you spent there in VTW, or week, whatever you want to call it?
I felt I grew a lot of new friends, which I was definitely happy with. I'm not going to lie. If I could spend more time in VTW, I would love every second of it. I would love to be in VTW every single day.
Right. Yankee does mention you did eliminate Corey Graves with a money shot during that Reunion Rumble as well. So,
hey, with the help of Yankee.
Yep, you're welcome. I helped, he says.
Yep.
You have any stories that you want to share from that weekend?
I got to share a hotel room with Cameron, which I thought was really dope. And once we got to the hotel room, Cameron told me, he's like, "Hey, we're probably just going to lay here and take a nap for a little bit." I wasn't tired. I just laid there. He's like, "Wake me up in 20 minutes. I said, "Okay." So my alarm goes off. Or no, he had an alarm. His alarm goes off. And I go over to wake him up, and I'm shaking him. I go, Cameron, get up. Come on, it's time to go. And right when I said, "Wakey, wakey, Cameron," that's when he instantly got up and he goes, "What the fuck?" Nice. Yankee, I'm looking at the chat myself, and he did mention something that I probably should say. We were playing video games off my Xbox that night, and it was him and TJ Sakara. And I think it was like Ty Dillinger versus somebody. I don't remember. But Yankee did this taunt thing, where he did like a cartwheel, and his leg got caught on the barricade on a glitch. And the whole time, Yankee was just watching it going, "Look at those perfect 10 calves, bro." And I was just dying of laughter. Everybody in the room was cracking up.
Oh, I can imagine. Hilarious. On off of your appearance there at Reunion Rumble, I would say that I would imagine is what led to you showing up in VTW yet again this summer as part of Best in the Yard.
My sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
My dream going into VTW was Best in the Yard. Like I said earlier, that's what I wanted to do. Surprisingly enough, my appearance at Reunion Rumble kind of didn't really lead to that match. I wasn't told anything about being a part of Best in the Yard. I was more or less just like, if it happens, it happens, you know? And then one faithful night, I got a text message from Kevin Shaw. And he was like, yo, you want to do it? You want to be in Best in the Yard with me? And I was like, let's do it. And then we both came up with an amazing idea. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit more of a comedy wrestler. And that was definitely the top comedy match that I had. That's what I wanted to do. And I loved every single second of it. And I feel if I was in that ring with anybody else doing that storyline, it wouldn't have been as good as it was.
Right. Now, what would you say went behind the promos leading into that match?
I was talking to Kevin about what we should do. And he was like, I have a really funny idea. He was like, what if you say, because, you know, you're my mother's favorite wrestler, you want to get with my mom? And I was like, dude, that'd be the most funniest thing ever. And we just came up with idea after idea after idea. It's not uploaded, but at a DBW show, I legitimately proposed to Kevin's mom. And it was the funniest thing ever. And I was like, well, nobody saw that, so why not do it again? And that's how it happened in the match. But it was more or less Kevin's idea on that yet again. Kevin was really the thought process behind that whole thing. I had a little bit to do in it, but it was mainly him.
All right. So then we'll delve into the match. Interesting match, to say the least. I've given my opinions on it in a couple of these shows.
Oh, yeah.
Not the biggest fan of it, but I did say and will say again, I thought you showed out more so in that match, in my opinion.
I don't know. I kind of feel it was equal. One thing that I definitely talked to Kevin about before the match, he told me that literally not a lot of people remembered him from his Best in the Yard 2 appearance when he wrestled Navon.
Right. And
I was very upset about that. And he was talking to me week after week after week about who should go over. And I was like, Kevin, you know you need to win this. Like, I understand this is my first Best in the Yard, but you need this exposure.
Right.
And he literally kept saying over and over, he's like, are you sure you want to lose? Are you sure you want me to beat you? And I was like, Kevin, I'm 100% sure I want this to happen. And, you know, it happened. He beat me. And I thought it wouldn't have went better any other way. Yeah. I guess you're right. I did have a little bit more spotlight in that match. But he was definitely the star, and that's what I wanted.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I gotta ask you, I can't talk about the match without asking you about the whole situation that happened towards the end. You actually getting a kiss from Kevin's mom.
Oh man, that was one of the best moments of my life. I'll tell you what.
Well, delving out of it, what was it like to have that happen with Mike?
Well, before the match, we decided that he was gonna kiss me, and I was like, this can go very wrong. He was like, I'm going to place my thumbs in the perfect place to make sure that you don't actually kiss me. And his thumbs were all over the place. And I was like, oh no, this is going to mess up. This is going to mess up. But it worked perfectly. And you could literally see me while I'm kneeling, holding the ring. You could see me saying, do the kiss, do the kiss. Because I just wanted it to happen already. And it did. And it was great. My favorite part about that whole match was literally watching the chat live as it was airing and people legitimately saying better than GTS. I love that.
Yeah. Quite an interesting situation having him as Kevin's mom and then also having Buford come out as Kevin's dad. So it was definitely interesting. Any stories or anything you want to share from that weekend? No, there's got to be something.
Best in the Yard was probably my favorite weekend of all time. It was literally just a bunch of friends hanging out. But this is a really good story. So me, Cameron, Kevin, Drew, Tyler Aiken, and I think Nick and Zach were with us. I could be wrong. We were all hanging out at the mall. Yeah, Nick was with us. We were all hanging out at the mall, and we were just having a good time, messing around. And we were going down this escalator, and there was this group of women just standing around. And we were all making fun of Navon with the whole Novin thing. And as we're going down this escalator, Cam just randomly blurts out, "Ah!" He did the whole get up thing. And these girls legit jump almost out of their heels. And Cam's like, "I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah." And we were all just dying of laughter the whole time.
Sounded like a blast.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one story that people have been mentioning from Best in the Yard that I've got to get your side of. I don't know if you were there and seen it, but the whole Navon and D-Lock situation.
Oh, boy. Oh, that was wild. We were all sitting in the garage watching Best in the Yard, and I was minding my own business. And I legitimately almost jumped out of my shoes after hearing the door just hear a loud bang. And I was like, what is going on? Then Chase Bridges opens up the garage door, and he just goes, "Can we get some help out here?" And then everybody runs out. And then the next thing I saw, it became this giant wrestling match. Everybody was wrestling one another. It went from D-Lock to Navon to Dustin Reagan and Big Time Mike to Yankee, and I think Aaron. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
I remember I was commentating the whole thing as Arnold, which made it even more funny. I was just sitting there going, "This is BEW's Arnold, and here we go. This is a wild match right here. Take a look at it." I was just dying of laughter the whole time.
Sounds like a blast. Okay. So, let's see. Anything else from that weekend that you want to share?
That's about it that I could think about right now. I know literally right after we record this, all this stuff is going to rush into my head.
Of course, no problem. So let's talk about a little bit about Best in the Yard overall, though.
Okay.
So I'll get your opinion first on one thing that I mentioned with every guest pretty much I've had on here. A lot of people on the video and through social media, Twitter or whatever, do have an issue with what the main event of the show was. Do you believe that Zach and Yankee deserve that main event, or should Cam and Cage been the main event?
That's rough. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love Cam. He's my brother. But I feel the main event was perfectly fine. Yankee and Zach Daniels definitely should have had the main event. Their story was amazing. And don't get me wrong, the big thing was leading to Cam and Cage. Everybody wanted to see Cam and Cage. And it happened, but it wasn't main event. And oh, well, I don't feel there's a need to complain about something like that. There's a need to really say, oh, it should have been this way. It should have been that way. The way it went, I feel was perfectly fine. I understand, a lot of fans might not be happy about that, but oh, well, the guys were happy about it. Everybody there was happy about it.
Right. And I definitely agree with you on that. I thought it was the rightful main event as well. What did you think of your placement on the card? You guys?
I thought literally, if it was placed anywhere else, it wouldn't have been as good as it was. The way it was filmed, we were actually first match. But if it was uploaded that way, I would have been very upset. And I say that because me and Kevin weren't the main event. We weren't, the biggest match, but we were definitely up there. People wanted to see that happen. And when it did at that point of the show, I thought it was literally perfect.
I thought it was put in a pretty good place there. Any of the other matches you want to talk about? What match do you think is probably one of, if not the most underrated match from that show that doesn't get talked about?
Two of the main underrated ones, I'll say three. These are my top three. One, definitely Big Time Mike and Rick Rios. That was beautiful. It was literally, I thought I was watching a movie. I was so in awe about what was happening. Definitely Novin and Drew. I feel it doesn't get as much credit as it should. And
I agree with that.
The triple threat between D-Lock, Chase Bridges, and Jackson Hendricks. That was a beautiful match as well. And surprisingly enough, to know that that was Jackson Hendricks, one of his first matches in a wrestling ring, I was surprised.
Yeah, I think from what I heard, it actually was his very first match inside the ring.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
He did really well in there, which partially led to me having him on here a couple weeks ago. So, but no, that kid, he definitely showed off quite a bit in that match. And
oh yeah,
in my opinion, if he doesn't get more views on WWE's channel from that, then there's something wrong with people.
Exactly.
Keeping up. All right. Any other matches you want to talk about from Best in the Yard?
Not really. The pre-show battle royal is probably one that I always talk about to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the way it was. I'm happy with the way it went. But if there were to be one other winner, I would have been fine with it as well. There were two people that I saw definitely winning that, and that was D'Lo Smith and Dagan Raw.
Right.
I said if either one of those people do not win this, there's no point. But luckily, D'Lo Smith won, and I was happy about it.
Yeah. I was all right with who won it. I just wasn't happy with how VTW booked him after he won it. So
yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So building off of that, moving towards Best in the Yard next year, do you see yourself in a possibly bigger spotlight, so as to speak, going into there?
Yeah, I don't know about bigger.
Opportunity.
Nothing can definitely beat what I had with Kevin, but it'll definitely be a pretty big match. You know.
All right. Look forward to seeing it. Do you see yourself traveling down to VTW maybe a little more if you get the opportunity to?
Definitely. I have the opportunity. I'm going to be traveling there a lot more, definitely.
And we definitely something worth looking forward to then. So off of that, we got to delve into, we've seen some videos a couple months ago that looked like it was leading into a match that ended up not happening, which we'll get into why not. But you're supposed to be in a match in DBW against Mr. Judgment.
Well,
yeah,
I'm going to explain why that wasn't the case. Yeah, me and Mr. Judgment were supposed to wrestle at Danger Zone, you know, but I was really pumped for this match. I was excited for it. I have another job outside of wrestling, obviously. I didn't realize that they were going to schedule me for that day. And there was basically nothing I could do about it once it was on the schedule. And not even seconds before I was about to tell Judgment that I couldn't make it, next thing I find out is that he is no longer going to book me anymore. He flat out refuses to book me. So more than likely, you are no longer going to see Victor Van Pelt on DBW, which I'm very sad about. And I feel a couple people are going to be sad about that as well.
Yeah, I can imagine people will be.
But with
the match I was looking for.
Yeah, with one loss comes one gain, and I'm going to announce it on here. I am officially a part of the UWF roster. I recently joined them. It's going to be good. You guys should definitely check them out.
All right. Something that I have to look into. I've heard of them, just haven't been to their channel yet. So good to know. At least we'll know where else so that we can find Victor Van Pelt as well.
Definitely.
The lead up to what was supposed to be the match between you and Judgment, I thought was very well done. The promos that you guys put out, and Yankee puts justice for Vic.
Thank you.
So we won't delve into DBW too much because there might be a little bit of a sour note off of that one then.
No,
want to say anything about your time there?
I don't have a serious problem with DBW. You know, I'm not going to lie. I definitely should have been booked a tiny bit better. And the reason I say that is my first match there was me, Casey James, Samael, and Fatal Fury. Fatal Fury, from what I heard, was a very dangerous wrestler. And I wasn't okay with that. Yeah, I definitely feel it's ridiculous the reason they let me go. But I understand, you know. I definitely agree with Yankee here. Justice for me. I deserve at least some kind of closure here. But yeah, I finally figured out a way to get around that. So if they want to book me again, I'm always willing to come back, and I will make DBW my home once again.
Yankee also does say that bring you back to DBW and run with him.
I'd be okay with that.
There you go. I mean, why not? The Murder Club has popped up a couple times there in DBW. So
exactly.
Speaking of, we did see at the end of Best in the Yard, it was kind of a little bit of a spoiler as you came out as part of the Murder Club with the Proving Ground Championship, that you weren't the current champion as storyline wise anyway.
Well, here's what happened with that. Yankee told me, he said, why didn't you do your entrance with the belt when I had my match with Kevin? And I was like, I don't know when it's going to be uploaded, blah, 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 Next thing he tells me is you should definitely do my entrance with it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So then that happened. And everybody kept telling me Best in the Yard was going to be up after Showcase. Showcase was going to be first, then Best in the Yard. And I believed that. And I probably shouldn't have, because that's not what happened. But, I didn't care. I thought it was pretty funny, in all honesty. I thought it was pretty funny. People still see me as somebody who definitely deserves the title. So that's all I care about.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. More so than, hate to knock on him, but more so than Paul Peterson, I feel you deserve that title. So
yeah, not a lot of people were happy with that.
Yeah, it was one of them. Nonetheless, are there any other companies that you would like to show up in or appear at that you haven't gotten the chance to yet?
I'm literally down to be a part of anybody. If anybody wants to message me, if you're a trampoline company, if you're a ring company, if you wrestle on the ground, if you wrestle in your mother's basement, I don't care. I'm willing to be a part of it. I'm not going to lie. I have my sights set on NOBW. That's definitely one thing that I'm going to do eventually soon. And I feel if it were to happen, it would be cool. If it doesn't, oh well, I could still do whatever. If I am to, in the future, be in Grimm's Toy Show, I'd be okay with that. I'd enjoy it.
There you go. All right. Interesting choices, anyways. But, hey, could happen.
Yeah.
We'll see. So, seems how you do compete at Proving Ground, and from what rumors are, it could lead into it. How about a chance on BEW?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. There has been filming done with Victor Van Pelt and BEW, so maybe in the future.
Yeah, another filming is a little behind from what they've aired, but
yeah, that's okay. If you see me as somebody else in the future, don't mind it.
Gotcha. Anyone in specific on the BEW roster that you'd like to get a chance to step in there with?
I've never been in the ring with Joseph Anthony. It'd be cool to go one-on-one with him.
Little plug. Got to give a little plug here to Joseph Anthony. He is now, as we just seen recently, the BEW World Champion, and will be my next guest here on Tiger Talks Wrestling.
Awesome.
On Thursday. Yankee says, don't put your finger on it.
I won't.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what you get the chance to do in BEW then, once we see Victor Van Pelt appear there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to move into my next topic here. It's a segment that I really like to do. And a lot of them, I guess, aren't really happiest about, but oh well. It's one of the hardest questions I get. Put you inside an elimination chamber. Who are the 5 backyard wrestlers you're going to be facing in this match?
Okay. This is actually real. I like this question. Obviously myself, that'd be one.
Or the other 5?
The other 5. Cameron, because he's always going to be by my side, definitely. Same reason for Yankee. So that's 2 right there.
Okay.
Man. Navon. Kevin. And I guess we'll go with one of my boys, Casey James.
Okay. Now, who's the last person you're eliminating to win the match?
Cameron. If I'm going to stick by anybody through that whole thing.
Right. Hickey says me, of course, in the match, and I'll put you over. So you won the elimination chamber. That puts you in, like, say, a best in the yard main event match. Who would you be facing and for what title? It doesn't have to be a current champion either.
Okay. I would be facing Zach Daniels for the heavyweight title.
Nice pick. Now, pretty sure I'm right on this. You've never faced off with Zach Daniels that we've seen.
There were hints to it a long time ago, but it never happened.
It's something you'd like to have happen, obviously, though.
Yeah, I'd love to wrestle him.
What do you think of his current change in demeanor, I guess you could put it?
I love it. I love it. I love it a lot. But there's definitely a little bit of me in there. I could just see it. I could definitely see a little side of Victor Van Pelt in Zach Daniels. But, you know, he's been doing a lot. There's a lot of originality to that gimmick. I'm not saying he's copying me. Right. But I do like it a lot. I definitely like it.
Okay. So I want to, you kind of delved into it a little bit. I want to go back to the VTW roster. Let's go over a little bit of it and what they've been doing lately. You say you'd like to travel there. You're planning on traveling there a lot more often. Who are some of the guys that you'd like to step in there with that you haven't gotten the chance to yet from VTW? And why?
Zach Daniels, obviously, and because he's a very good wrestler, and I feel me and him would make magic. Chase Bridges. I feel mine and his styles are a little bit similar. I don't do as much flippy stuff, but I do some. Yeah. D-Lock, he's always amused me. His wrestling is great. Dustin Reagan, like I said, because he's an amazing wrestler, and I feel I'm not up to his level, but it'd be great to get in the ring with him.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to wrestle Tyler Aiken. I'd like to wrestle him. Aaron Jones, once again, amazing competitor. Drew, but obviously he's no longer apart, sadly. We miss you, Drew. Be all. Little do you know, I actually I broke Drew's nut in the reunion rumble.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice little story there.
Yeah, as I was putting him over the rope, I guess I somehow hit his testicle, and he complained about it a lot for the rest of the night.
And would go on to win the rumble and
surprisingly. Yeah, surprisingly. But yeah, Drew definitely ecstatic. It'd be cool to wrestle him.
Okay, so off of
yeah,
keep going, but off that I gotta ask you something else on those two guys.
Okay. Guys. Well, that's about it.
Okay. You mentioned Tyler Aiken and Ecstatic. Would it be the Bad Sons versions of those guys, or would it be different versions of those guys that you'd like to step in there with?
Quite frankly, I feel Tyler would be what he was obviously before the Bad Sons himself. I've always liked people as themselves.
Okay.
Ecstatic. I don't like him right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm not the biggest fan of the Bad Sons. I originally saw a side of Ecstatic that was better than what he is now. The Silvered Standard.
Mm-hmm.
That Silver Standard is no longer what he is. He's washed up. He's done, basically. That's how I see Ecstatic right now. But oh well, stuff happens, you know.
Yeah. Ooh. So I'm sure you might have seen we got 2 new viewers in here that are quite big names in the East Coast of the backyard community. He's fashionably late yet again, but Navon McDonald is here. He apologizes for being fashionably late, so I love you.
Better.
And he's got his pinky up high. And Drew Hood is actually in the chat.
Hold on, Navon. Navon, listen to me.
Go.
How dare you be late to my interview, Navon? I'm not having this. Sorry.
All right. So Drew mentioned that the nut thing did hurt. Stick to the path and you'll even be bigger of a name, Victor.
Thank you, Drew. It means a lot. You know, Drew is definitely one guy. All of FTC is definitely guys that I respect the hell out of. And Drew, that means a lot coming from him.
I can see how it. Yankees are going off on Navon in the chat room now, so
that's the usual.
We'll leave it at that. As usual, yes. All right. So that was quite an interesting take from what you said about Ecstatic. I'd kind of agree with you in that way. I'd kind of enjoyed the Silver Standard in some aspects, more so before he was part of the Bad Sons, but I still think him and Tyler are bringing quite a bit to the VTW tag team scene.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now talking about VTW, there's this little faction, I guess you could say, or group of guys that are trying to make a name for themselves there as of late, that just formed at their last show, Halloween Hangover. What is your opinions on the change, as they're calling themselves, I suppose? Jamal Payne, D'Lo Smith, and Casey.
Listen, D'Lo Smith, Jamal Payne, and Casey James. Oh, sorry. Gas Chamber. Nope. My bad. Casey Chambers. That's what it is. Just don't step in my way, and we'll be cool.
Gotcha. Now, would you like to step in the ring with any of those 3 guys?
Jamal Payne. It'd be cool to get in the ring with him, you know. Nothing against the other 2. They're both really good competitors. I've just always had my eyes set on Jamal.
Gotcha. Okay, so Yankee wants me, so I'm going to have to. Got to ask you about your Ric Flair figure that him and Cam kidnapped.
They did. They kidnapped my Ric Flair figure. We had a bunch of action figures sitting literally outside of the ring for KWA. And they found this old WCW Ric Flair figure. And they put it in Cam's car. And that figure has literally been going show to show to show with those guys. And it's hilarious that they did that. I think it's funny that Ric Flair figure was to VTW before I was. But yeah.
Funny. Definitely an interesting story. If you guys want, make sure you're putting more comments and questions in there. I see Navon's asking Yankee about some cookie.
Oh, that's a good story. So Drew, I was asleep during all of this. Drew, Mike, and Cam were calling Navon's room all night. And Navon was getting pretty pissed off. So I don't remember what Yankee and Evan Blake were doing to poor Navon, but that led to Navon attacking them with cookies. And in Navon's words saying, "Do you want some cookies, motherfucker? Do you want some cookies, bitch?" It was great.
It sounds like it. Sounds like pretty much every time you guys get the chance to do those crossover events, it's a fun time for all of you. So
It is. It's really fun.
good. Any other? We've gone over quite a few, but any other dream opponents that you have in the backyard wrestling that you haven't touched on yet?
That's about it.
How about pro wise? Anybody that you'd like to, if you ever go pro, if you get the chance to, you'd like to face?
I've never really thought about that, and the only reason I haven't is because I don't really feel that I have to think about that right now. You know, my mind's mainly set on the backyard scene, and that's about it.
Understandable. Kind of negates the, well, still part of it, but pro aspirations question we'll worry about too much because you answered that one. But
well, I definitely do plan on going pro soon, very soon. And it's always been a dream of mine. Do I feel it's going to be as luxurious as now? No, but it's going to be pretty cool.
right. So you kind of delved on it a little bit, but what does the future for the rest of this year and then forward look like for Victor Van Pelt in backyard wrestling?
Let's just say that the future of Victor Van Pelt, I'm trying, honestly, as hard as I can to make the future of myself as big as I want it to be. But as all of you know, I've been kind of quiet on social media. So who knows? I can't tell you whether I'm going to be here much longer or whether I'm going to be here for a long time.
Fair point to that. Look over something here. And Vaughn says, Victor, I miss you. And Yankee mentioned they only had 1 hour of sleep before catching the fly back home. Which Navon told him, don't remind me. And Yankee says, well, Navon fell asleep on a man in the plane.
I believe it.
And Yankee tells you to step up your social media, bitch.
I will. But yeah, no, Navon, I miss you too, brother. It's been a while. Can't wait to see you soon. Hopefully soon.
Okay, and we were talking, you and I, a little bit about this before we went live a couple days ago. Asked you if there was any matches or any specific feuds you wanted to bring up here on the show tonight. You said that you'd probably mention some that I may not have heard of. Anything specific that you're thinking of?
Sadly enough, I have been in a feud with the man they call Dabbing Jay Rollins. I regret that. It led into an hour-long Iron Man match. I regret that. I've been in feuds with the Jordan Oliver feud is probably one of the biggest feuds I've been a part of. It just ended the wrong way. Definitely mine and Kevin's feud, though, was my favorite of all time. Me and Cam was great, but nothing can beat me and Kevin.
Gotcha. So do you want to delve on your whole experience as the Psycho Clown there in ECW?
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. So originally I thought that that was a good gimmick. And originally I was really dumb. Um, I didn't know what to do with myself at the time. I was always some type of psycho clown gimmick. So I figured I'd just keep doing that. The way it ended was probably the stupidest way ever, and nobody has seen how it ended. I had a match with MP3 at the birthday bash. Everybody knows that. The way it ended wasn't aired. Mama Bree came in the ring, smashed a cupcake in my face, and I got amnesia from the cupcake, which made me think I was Victor Van Pelt. So that's the origins behind Victor. I wish I had a better origin story than that, but I don't. After that, I became Victor Van Pelt, and it was probably the best decision I made of my life.
I'll go with that. Navon says, to Yankee, you lie worse than Pinocchio. Off the whole plane story. And Yankee would go on to say Navon likes hippo leather for his jackets. And Dilvan Satan says ECP all over again.
No, don't even bring that up.
Devon's got a question for you, though.
Okay.
Will you do a tag team match with him against Kevin and his mama? We owe him for he's done to us at Biddy to destroy his family.
I'm definitely down to do that as long as Navon McDonald is my partner. The Kings of the Mountain versus Mama Shaw and Kevin.
He says, if the mama ain't around or in town, let us take Buford.
Okay, that's fine too.
Make for quite an interesting match, that's for sure.
That would be.
So we kind of went into it a little bit, but where do you stand in backyard wrestling right now? Besides what we've done.
Well, yeah, like I said, I feel whatever happens, happens. Quite frankly, the way it's looking right now, sadly enough, I'm not going to be a part of a lot of shows. But I'm going to try everything I can to be back on top of the game. But if Victor Van Pelt somehow is no longer an entity in backyard wrestling, stuff happens.
All right. Fair enough. So I'm getting closer to the end of my questions. If anybody else has questions or comments, put them there in the chat section. It's kind of a little quiet, not too much, but the people we've got in there, surprisingly. Oh. Some good questions, good stories there. Anything else you want to share from your time in the backyard that you haven't delved in?
I have been doing this for a long time. A lot of people don't feel like I have, but literally from the time I wrestled to my uncle to now, it's been 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 8 years, 9 years. Yeah. It's been wild. It has been crazy.
Sounds like it. Yankee says, in his room with a fucking money robe. # money. And Scorpion the Assassin is here. Says, I see a future contract hit I need to cash in on.
Well, it's a pretty easy contract to cash in on. I'm always willing to wrestle anyway.
And we kind of went off that a little bit, but Dilvan Satan arrived a little late and is asking if you do miss KWA.
Yes, I do. KWA was my child. As much as I didn't have a lot of control on what happened, there was still a lot of things that made me miss what it was, Don't get me wrong, I wasn't the main guy who put all of it together. I can't thank Casey James enough for a lot of the stuff he's done. The stories were his idea. Me and Cam was my idea, but a lot of the other stories for Battlefest, all his.
Fair enough. And if he didn't catch it, Dilvan, we did go over the fact that you said that you'd beat Victor in 5 minutes or under.
Which you can't do. Sorry.
Yeah. He's got his issues with Hellhound that he's got to have to resolve at some point before he can even step in the ring with you. So
Exactly.
yeah. So you went over who pretty much your favorite program was with, being Kevin Shaw. Is there anyone that you wish, any program that you wish you wouldn't have been a part of, other than what you may have mentioned earlier?
There's been quite a lot of things that I have done. So it's hard to really say what I want to do in the future. Because I've basically done a lot in my short time. You know, I say it a lot. I feel that I'm the top prospect of backyard wrestling today. And the more and more I get closer to where I am, that's how it's been. You know? So nothing really.
Yeah. Gotcha. So Yankee wants to know, how did you feel after you hit him with a famous sir, and then afterwards took a powerbomb?
Me and Yankee have only stepped in the ring once. You guys are 100% going to see it. It was a big ladder match. First time I met Yankee, literally the first time I met Yankee, he was teaching me how to take back elbows. I rammed my face into his elbow that day, and it didn't feel good. But, you know, I feel from that point on, he saw something in me. Probably not, but it grew to where it is today. But yeah, no, that match was one of the best matches of the Psycho Clown's career.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Yeah, a couple more questions, comments here before we end this. Let's see, what else can I dive into? Did you think the right two guys ended up being in the main event of the King of the Yard tournament, in the finals, I should say?
It was Cam and
AK-47.
AK. Definitely. Both of those guys are really well in the ring. Both of those guys are, it's something that you need to watch, especially when they're together.
Right. I mean, of course, because of somebody who's in the chat room, I think the match could have been a little bit different and better, but...
Oh, man.
We will get started on that. All right. Yankee does say, I did, man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. It means a lot to me, brother, because Yankee was definitely one guy that I always looked up to.
So off of that, there is one topic I didn't really go into. You being in the Murder Club. What brought about you joining the Murder Club?
People haven't seen me in the Murder Club until that match with me, Johnny Reed, and Judgment. That's when people saw me be exactly a part of it. But
right
before that, when I was the Psycho Clown, Yankee came up to me and he said, hey, man, there's this thing that it was new at the time called the Murder Club.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know if you would like to be a part of it. Jordan Oliver came by. He said, don't do it. But obviously, I jumped on that chance. And that was the beginning of me being in the Murder Club, but nothing was really done about it until that fateful day. Me, the party animal Ryan Jacobs, which I no longer talk about much anymore, and there's a reason why. He's a ridiculous man. Me, him, Cheeks, which is a kid that I miss and love. Cheeks was my little young boy. I miss him. And Stryker were a part of a group called the Chosen Four. Stryker left that night to go make his own group called The Pack, which was terrible. I left that night to join the Murder Club. Earlier that night, Yankee legitimately came up to me and he was like, listen, man, you know you don't want to do this. You know you don't want to be a part of this chosen four crap. What you need to do is come back home. Come back to the murder club. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I do need to come back home. I do need to be a part of the murder club. So I agreed to him. Then we set up the whole plan on what we were going to do, and it went perfectly. And that's what I guess you could say made me who I am today.
Fair enough. So, kind of delved into it. The main company you're in is Proving Grounds. What all exactly do you think we're going to see from Victor Van Pelt going forward in there? Obviously, being the current champion.
All I could tell you is that me being champion is probably one of the best things to happen to Proving Ground today. And the reason I say that is because, well, look at me. Watch me wrestle. The women are falling in love with my face, and the men cannot stand to see me. And that's what these people need. They need a villain, you know? And if it wasn't going to be Paul Peterson, in the words of a very, very good movie, which I've watched millions of times again, millions and millions of times, you either die or live, or what is it? Something with a hero. I don't remember. You either die being the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yes.
And if Paul Peterson couldn't do that, nobody would catch behind him and follow the Paul Peterson train. But what they did see is the right man become the champion. And quite frankly, still the right man. Yeah, I get it. I wasn't on the one episode and I didn't wrestle on the other. But I can guarantee you're going to be seeing a lot more Victor Van Pelt on Proving Ground. Have actual matches and show them why I am the best Proving Ground champion today. Because I get the chicks, I get the belts, and I get the money.
Nice response. Wouldn't expect anything less. Obviously, you know, the next match the next title defense, rather, that you'll have, as we mentioned earlier, was against Mike Perillo, or however you want to pronounce his last name. Who do you think should be next in line for a title shot after that, if you could choose somebody?
Quite frankly, I feel definitely a contender who is very underrated and deserves at least a title match is Johnny Reed. He's really good in the ring, and he deserves that main event spot.
Yes, I'd agree with you on that. Johnny Reed is somebody I've been pretty impressed with in his time in BEW, at least, and
yes,
a little bit that we've seen him in Proving Ground. Fortunately, he's a little busy there in Proving Ground at the moment, but
oh well.
Hey, you never know what can happen after that whole story. So situation unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely somebody I think you'll have to keep your eye on. Put it that way. Of course, we mentioned NLBW have the new guys coming in. We didn't really touch on, which probably should have, that before they came in, we have seen the debut of 3 guys from UWE as well. Kind of touched on Jason Atlas a little bit, but also Ustalo and Revan have made their way into Proving Ground as well. What are your thoughts on those 2 guys?
Well, Ustalo, I'm not going to lie. I haven't heard of you until I met you. I didn't know who you were until you stepped in the ring and showed me what you can do. And quite frankly, you're a good person. That's good, right? Yeah, that's something. But yeah. Revan. Okay, look, I'm not a big fan of Star Wars, okay? I never enjoyed the movies. I never enjoyed the whole thing. Revan, you can be your little Star Wars playboy, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Go ahead. You do your thing. You do you. I'm not going to judge you for that. But as I see it, it's not going to get you anywhere. And it's definitely not going to get you in a title match with moi.
Fair enough. All right. So if anybody else has any questions or comments, hey, good. Put them in the comment section there. We're going to end this here in a couple minutes. Otherwise, they've gone quiet. So, lastly, any other topics or situations that you want to talk upon, something that you may have seen recently, or anything that you've been a part of or haven't been a part of? Broad spectrum, I know.
Well, I guess what I should say is, all in all, heroes usually die, but diamonds are forever. And this diamond, as much as I've said it more than once in this whole video that I don't know where I'm going to be, but this diamond's going to live forever. Whether it's in the heart of you fans or it's in any type of ring. I don't care if you hate me or if you love me, but you have the right and you need to respect the diamond, because not only am I a good wrestler inside that ring, I am also the most cocky, the most brash, the baddest man alive, the biggest heel in backyard wrestling today, the top prospect of backyard wrestling. And not only that, outside of the ring, I am the richest man alive, with the richest parents, with the nicest things, with the beautiful women, the most beautiful women. I could take anything that I want, whether you care about it or these people care about it. I am the man who can take the thing that you love the most, the thing that you have been dying to get. You have been praying and saying, oh, one day I shall get this. But you just didn't get it, because Victor Van Pelt stepped in the way. I don't care if you're a friend. I don't care if you're an enemy. I am not loyal to anybody, and I will take what I want anytime, any place.
All right. With that being said, apparently nobody's got nothing else they want to add to it. So I guess this is a good point as any to end the show then. Thank you again for coming on here. This has been fun getting hear a little bit more about your story.
No problem.
Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who has participated in the chat room there. As mentioned earlier, do have my next show lined up for this upcoming Thursday at 7 p.m., with the current BEW World Heavyweight Champion, Joseph Anthony, the last survivor. Now, a couple people who were in the chat room earlier are a little excited about that, or at least one person. But we'll get into that. Past that, I don't know what I'm doing yet. Next weekend of Survivor Series, we could dive into that a little bit. There will be 2 prediction shows that weekend, as I would do a prediction show for NXT TakeOver and then one for Survivor Series. Which NXT TakeOver, I think, is going to be a pretty good show when you got the Return to War Games. So. All right. And if anybody's got anything else that anybody else they'd like to see me get on here at any point in time, just feel free to message me on Twitter at Tiger121685, or even if you want to see me do some other shows or something different on here. I'm open to suggestions. So, and off of that, any last words as we get ready to close this out?
Yeah. First off, I might as well put in my plug. You can follow me on Twitter, Victor Van Pelt 24. You could follow me on Instagram, Victor_Van Pelt. You could check out the Keystone Wrestling Alliance YouTube channel. That means a lot to me. But most importantly of all, keep your pinky up, because I am the diamond of the industry, the 24-karat man, the OG $1 million, the bank account cleaner, the king of dollar style, and especially your mother's favorite wrestler. I just figured I had to say it one more time.
Yeah, don't blame me. And for that, thank you guys again for watching. This has been Tiger Talks Wrestling. We'll catch you next time.